John Bush here with another update from the Uncoinventional Living Tour West. Our family's trek across the country using Bitcoin only, putting the Bitcoin ecosystem to the test when it comes to food, travel, lodging, and entertainment. And now we're in Kansas City, Missouri, enjoying some downtime at Catherine's parents' house. Had Thanksgiving with the family, and now we're just laying low. Going to go out to the park today, try to do some fishing with Ollie and her grandpa. But I want to give you an update on how everything went in Colorado. We had an excellent time in Colorado, and I got to tell you, I think Denver, Colorado especially is an up-and-coming city in the Bitcoin space. Lots of cool stuff going there, strong movement. Last update we gave you, we had some treacherous conditions getting through Colorado. It ended up taking about 3 days when it should have taken just a little over a day. And we were going through the mountains. We stayed at this awesome hotel, and the next morning we tried to get up as early as we can. Ended up leaving just before noon, and it was still snowing. The conditions weren't as bad because it was daytime, but as we trekked further east towards Denver on our way with the deadline to get there by 6 o'clock for our Bitcoin meetup, or the meetup with the Liberty on the Rocks folks to screen Sovereign Living, it started getting a lot worse, the conditions. It started snowing, snowstorm came in, very low visibility. The road was shut down again because of some accidents, so we were stuck in line. Stopped by a Whole Foods in Denver, which was a really nice one. They had a little ski lift for a little table booth inside, but we had an excellent breakfast there, and of course we used gift cards with gyft.com, purchased with Bitcoin, as we always do at Whole Foods across the country. Well, we ate, and as we were eating, the snow started to get a lot more serious, so we wrapped up, and we hopped in the car, in the good old minivan, and headed further east, and this time we got stuck behind some cars, but sure enough, about 45 minutes later, the traffic started moving, so we continued our quest east, and we were really grateful that we had stopped the night before, because some of the hills and curves that we went on would have been pretty serious doing that around 1 a.m. in the morning at night in the dark. It would have been much colder then too. And I got to admit, I'm from Texas. I don't really drive through the snow very often or the icy conditions like that at all. So I was a little bit nervous cruising through, but the van handled it just fine. And we made it to our Denver meetup, literally walking through the door about 6:05 p.m. So everybody was really warm and receptive there. People were drinking wine, having beers, a Liberty on the Rocks event, got to chat, have some great conversations, and we screened episodes 3 and 4 of Sovereign Living, the reality show. You can watch episode 1 for free at sovereignliving.tv. We'll have a link there in the description. And had a good time. Episode 3 is all about the natural home birth of our second child. Episode 4 is about Bitcoin and our trip to PorcFest, where we learned about Bitcoin, get set up with wallets and all sorts of stuff. So I think the message really resonated well with people. Had a great discussion afterwards. Met some cool people doing some really cool things there in Denver. And I had the opportunity to sit down and chat with Stephen McCaskill. He's the CEO of Amagi Metals, amagimetals.com. They are a gold and silver, basically a coin broker, a bullion store, precious metals. And they accept Bitcoin, Litecoin, Dogecoin, Darkcoin now. And they actually have a huge announcement they put out recently where by 2017 they're no longer going to be accepting US dollars. They're only going to be accepting cryptocurrency. Stephen and Amagi Metals sponsored our trip out there, in large part helping to fund some of our trip on this Uncoinventional Living Tour. And they did a sponsorship in exchange for their donation. We put on the screening. We also had a chance to sit down with Stephen and learn more about his business and why he's so enthusiastic about cryptocurrency to the point where they're no longer going to be accepting USD come 27. So here's a brief interview I did with Stephen McCaskill, CEO of Amagi Metals. We're here with Stephen McCaskill. He's the owner of Amagi Metals, amagimetals.com. They're a precious metals broker that is very enthusiastic about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, to say the least. And Amagi Metals actually sponsored our screening here in Denver, Colorado of Sovereign Living, episodes 3 and 4. We're going to chat with him about how Bitcoin fits into their business model and just why he's so excited about it. So excited that come 2017, he'll be accepting cryptocurrency exclusively in exchange for their precious metals. So, Stephen, how are you doing tonight?
Great. Thank you so much for having me, John.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your support and the donation to help finish episode 4.
Yeah,
throw that
absolutely.
Out there. How long has Amagi Metals been in operation?
Well, we've been in operation since 2008, and I've been at the head of the company since 2010.
Cool, cool. So tell us about what y'all offer. Precious metals, is there anything on top of that? Do y'all have junk silver?
Yeah,
What's it all about?
We sell precious and base metals. We've moved away from the base metals and focus on gold, silver, and platinum, coins, rounds, and bars. And we have a huge mixture of foreign products to U.S. products to junk silver, and we accept Bitcoin.
All right. How long have you been accepting Bitcoin?
Since 2012.
Okay. And you accept Litecoin and Dogecoin too, right?
Yes,
Awesome.
absolutely. And we actually accept Darkcoin as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
What went into your decision to begin accepting Bitcoin?
Well, I think it had a lot to do with exposure and learning about it. I first heard about it in 2010, and after many different people were telling me about it, I had to do the research. I had to look more and more into it, and I became instantly hooked because I have a big interest in promoting sound money. And Bitcoin has the potential to become sound money. I wouldn't say that it meets all the qualifications yet, but it's amazing to see the evolution and seeing it become something much more than what we have today. So I wanted to join the experiment, be part of testing what sound money is and if it can be purely digital, and if we can move into a new age in our human experiment.
Nice. What are the areas where you believe it's lacking in the qualifications for sound money, and what do you think it needs to do to overcome that?
Yeah, well, I think the most basic one would be acceptance. Not everyone accepts it. There are, as far as I understand, more utility companies in Africa than in the United States that accept Bitcoin. There aren't that many here. So wide acceptance, and then it also has to be a good store of wealth. And right now, it's extremely volatile. And so I think that as adoption increases, and it's increasing at an exponential rate, that it definitely has the potential to be sound money. But the wide variances in price has to drop, and of course more people have to accept it.
So you believe the more people that adopt it, that accept it in exchange for goods or services, the more likely it is to overcome that acceptance and volatility problem. And you're putting your Bitcoin where your mouth is, so to speak, with this announcement y'all had recently that come 2017 you're only going to be accepting cryptocurrency exclusively. Tell me what went into that, what motivated you to do that, and what effect you think it'll have on your business.
Yeah, well, I see the last leg of the dollar. I think that's in our lifetime. I don't think that's going to be by 2017, but I definitely think that we're nearing that point in time. And I see a big domino effect happening in the next few years where, by the end of this year, PayPal will have integrated Bitcoin, which PayPal has 150 million accounts. That's a lot of people that will have exposure to Bitcoin. Next will be Amazon. Next will be pretty much every online retailer accepting Bitcoin. And through that exposure, we'll see people using it for remittances to third world countries. So I see a huge domino effect. I'm pretty sure I'm right. I think a lot is going to change, and a lot is going to happen around the world from pretty much every perspective. The stock market's at an all-time high, but we see the economy is not recovering. People are not entering into the labor force. They're looking for alternatives, and we're going to start seeing that across the board. And Bitcoin, I think, is going to be a huge facilitator for that to happen. And so I think that our business, we may have to cut down a little bit on our business, but we still have a lot of growth between now and 2017. And I think that by then we'll be ready to convert completely to cryptocurrency. We'll be able to pay all of our employees, all of our vendors, the utility companies. So I think that it's far enough away that a lot's going to happen between now and then, and we'll be in a position to be able to move over to a purely cryptocurrency economy.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate your chutzpah, so to speak, on leading the way. It takes pioneers out there to kind of get out there and do it out in front of everyone and have everyone kind of catch up and follow. So thanks for doing that. Before we let you go, why don't you fill the listeners in on how they can get a hold of you and where they can go to check out your selection and spend some Bitcoin with you?
Yeah, absolutely. You can visit our website, amagimetals.com. That's AMAGI, metals.com. Our Twitter handle is amagimetals, and same with Facebook. And if you're interested in getting text messages or emails or for price changes in either commodities or new commodities such as Bitcoin, you can visit our website and get those alerts.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
So after the meetup wrapped up, we were hungry, and the kids were asleep in the car, so we popped on our Airbits wallet, and we searched in the business directory for places around us, and sure enough, we found a place called Pizza Republica. Pizza Republica is an awesome establishment, really fancy, upscale Italian pizza place. So we pulled up. They have the red star. I don't know if the owner's an anarcho-socialist or communist or whatever, but there's a big red star, and really cool place, cool atmosphere. So we walk in to pay for our pizza with Bitcoin. We did a pickup order, and they were actually using the CoinKite system. This is the first time I've come across the little CoinKite terminal, which looks exactly like a little credit or debit card terminal. And the guy pulled it out, the woman, the waitress that was helping me, pulled it out, and I was surprised. I'd never seen one before, so it was really cool to use it. Basically, they enter the information for the invoice, they put the price, and then it prints out a little receipt that has a QR code. So I scanned the QR code with my Airbits wallet, and voila, it was simple enough. And I also had a chance to sit down and talk with the manager there about Bitcoin and about their business and some information for people in the area if they want to visit this Bitcoin accepting establishment, Pizza Republica. So here's a brief interview I did with the manager on duty. I'm here with William. He's the manager of Pizza Republica at 14th and Champa in downtown Denver, and they accept Bitcoin. And hopefully we'll enjoy the pizza. I'm sure we will. It smells great. So maybe you could tell the listeners about your menu and how long y'all have been accepting Bitcoin.
Yeah, we've been accepting Bitcoin for a few months now. We like to think we're ahead of the program. We're the first restaurant in Denver to accept Bitcoin.
Awesome.
We are actually looking at getting an ATM that would accept Bitcoin up front.
Cool.
We accept Bitcoin. We have been here for a year and a half. The original location's been in the landmark of Denver Tech Center in Denver for 5.5 years. We do Neapolitan wood-fired pizzas, Italian cuisine, where Colorado comfort food kind of meets classic Italian food.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. What are your thoughts on Bitcoin? Have you been in the restaurant industry for a while, and is this something, have the rest of the staff been able to grasp it? I understand y'all use a CoinKite system, which I hadn't seen before.
Yeah, absolutely. We're excited to do it. We're starting to see probably every month we're getting a 25% increase in guests coming in to use Bitcoin.
Nice.
Which is great. So it's kind of fun to be on the forefront of something unique and new.
Cool. Excellent. What do you think about it personally?
No, I like it. I'm curious to see where it goes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah,
can you give out some contact info where people can check out your website or give us the address?
We are pizzarepublica.com. We're located on 14th and Champa. The other location is in Greenwood Village of Pizza Republica. And our address is 890 14th Street. And you could reach us at pizzarepublica.com.
Cool. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Now, as we were leaving, trying to find our place to stay for the night, we apartment sat, we house sat, and cat sat for a friend of ours, a friend of a friend that was there. She lives in downtown Denver, so it was cool to have that experience, and it was cool not to have to pay for a hotel. So as we were trying to find the place, we're driving downtown, and we start to see militarized police. Like, there was SUVs that had these platforms police were standing on. Like 8 police on these SUVs, and there's just cops everywhere, helicopter in the sky, and we put 2 and 2 together. Ah, yes, the Ferguson verdict from well, it's not a verdict. The grand jury in Ferguson, Missouri had just decided not to indict Officer Darren Wilson, and there had been planned protests all across the country. Things were most heated in Ferguson, Missouri, of course, ground zero. So we decided to hop out and check it out. The kids were asleep in the back, so we put them in the stroller and marched with the police and the protesters. No, I'm just kidding. The kids and Kat stayed in the car, and I hopped out and did a little video photo journalism, checked out the protests. I've been to my fair share of protests in my day, and this one was it was pretty mild, it was pretty tame. There's a lot of pretty strong rhetoric against the police. There was probably a group of about 80 protesters or so, 80 to 100, marching in the street. When I first came upon them, they were all laying down in the intersection. They were doing the block in the streets thing, which is a big theme for a lot of the protests around the country. Now, the police, while they had a heavy presence and they would follow around a couple blocks away from the protesters, they were not in front of the protesters. They were not near proximity to the protesters. There was no confrontation. It was very mild-mannered. They did, again, block a couple intersections, which I personally don't find to be very productive. I guess the idea is just to disrupt things as much as possible. I don't know. I made the analogy to Kat. It was kind of disheartening. I wish that there were more productive things taking place. But Kat told me, this is just part of an evolution. We went through our angry protest phase where we went and yelled at buildings and marched through the streets endlessly. But for me, it was similar to a child throwing a tantrum when they don't get their way, and the protesters not getting their way with the indictment of Officer Wilson. And then they throw a tantrum and they go smash stuff up. And of course, there's riots and looting in Ferguson and other places, and in California, for example. And again, I mean, people have this righteous anger and they demand justice. But I would just wish that we could be more constructive with the manner in which we're demanding our justice. For example, building alternative institutions of defense. If we could take all the energy that people are doing, breaking things and being destructive, and being productive and creative and create networks and eventually create an environment where we can grow up and replace the police. But nonetheless, it's an outlet. The media covered it, and sure enough, a day later, I saw some stories on YouTube of a man getting beat really bad by the police. It wasn't related to the Denver march, but this is good to show solidarity and to show that people are out there and outraged, and it's okay to be angry. But nonetheless, I digress. So I checked it out, just marched around, walked around for about an hour, and then we went home and settled in. The next day was a nice, relaxing day. I went and worked at the office on some stuff, caught up with some stuff, put out the last update. Little Aliana came with me to the office. We came across a cool cafe. I'll put the name in the description. It escapes me at the moment. But this place was actually a gift economy place. You walk in, and there's like 3 ways to pay. 1, you could pay whatever fits within your budget. There are no prices. 2, you could pay it forward and put some money forward for someone else to get a meal after you. And thirdly, you could volunteer for an hour in the kitchen and get some food. So I thought it was cool to check out this gift economy type place. I talked to the guy behind the register about Bitcoin. He was familiar with it, and I told him how great it would be for donations. You just have a QR code back there. Someone scans it, sends it, boom, you serve them some food. But I thought that was a cool little side note. During the day, we were organizing to go have dinner at a wonderful establishment, Southern Hospitality. It's a guy named Sean Owen, who's part of the Bitcoin meetup there, and a strong member of the Liberty community. He was there with us the night before, so we planned to have dinner. But before we went to dinner at his place, check that out, I stopped by and chatted with Ben Ulbrich, who is one of the organizers of the Bitcoin meetup, and they just started the Denver Bitcoin Center. And man, this place was really cool. So I went and met up with him, and he gave me a tour of the venue and all the cool stuff they're doing there, and I got an interview with him. So here's my interview with Ben, who is an organizer of the Denver Bitcoin meetup, and he heads up the Denver Bitcoin Center. We're here in Denver, Colorado at the Bitcoin Center with Ben Ulrich. He's the executive director of the center here, and he's going to show us around. So we walk in and you immediately hear that lovely sound of money, and the heat hits you from the miners, but here's also some Bitcoin ATMs. Tell us about them. Tell us about this joint.
Well, like you said, we start off with the ATMs. We have a couple here right now just because we actually stage ATMs out of here as they go to either Colorado and Denver, and then also sometimes to other states around the country. They're bit access ATMs, so they're bi-directional, and the money recyclers whole bit. People come in every day just to buy and sell Bitcoins both.
Awesome.
It's really awesome
Cool.
to see how much the public uses that.
What else you got going here?
Okay, well, moving forward, we have a little reception desk and a TV where we have a slideshow with some pictures and events and meetups and stuff that we have going on. Moving around the front room, which is kind of our public space, we have some computer equipment, and then of course the aforementioned Bitcoin miners.
Cool.
And right now we just have two big black racks with a couple stacks of them. So they're hashing away a little bit every month to help pay for the facilities and everything.
Cool, that's great. So the Bitcoin mined with the machines helps to subsidize the oprration here?
Right, exactly. Yeah, we had
Awesome.
some generous people donate a couple older Bitcoin machines,
Nice.
that we can just plug in, prints money, right?
That's great. Cool.
So how about we move on downstairs?
Excellent. So when did this place open?
Well, our official launch party was November 7th.
All right.
So we had a big party here. There was it was a lot of fun. We had a couple notable people. Jason from Sean's Outpost was
Cool.
here, and Daniel from the College Cryptocurrency Network. A couple
Nice.
really awesome people were able to come. So it turned out to be an amazing event. Way bigger turnout than we expected.
Cool. So this is the co-workspace?
This is the co-workspace, the members-only lounge and co-workspace.
Cool.
But yeah, I mean, the first big thing obviously is the tapestries. We put some pictures up online. We got some pretty awesome tapestries.
Very psychedelic?
Yeah. Well, we felt like it gave the right vibe. That we were trying to give here.
I'm feeling the vibe.
So
Very Colorado vibe.
exactly. So over here on our left, on the front wall, we actually have two big TVs that we are always showing, the price of Bitcoin, Litecoin, a couple other the microcurrencies, just to remind us why, even though we're not working in Bitcoin all the time, why we all are working here,
Cool.
kind of thing. So, and then just around the room, we can see, a dozen desks all lined up across the room of all shapes and sizes. We got a lot of them donated or given to us, a couple free off Craigslist. So as you can see right now, I don't want to get into people's personal business, but there's computers, and we of course have the 3D printers in here.
Nice.
Those guys the Barrymore brothers are doing some awesome work, and they've printed some really, really cool stuff, and including they've also you can get Denver Bitcoin Center keychains.
Nice.
That they printed up for us. So
Awesome.
that have our logo and everything. But yeah, I mean, it's really what you'd think of a small traditional warehouse space, very tall ceilings and a big back rolling door. So
Cool. And there's a couple businesses that operate out of here, right?
yeah, like I said, the 3D printing, those brothers do their business out of here, and they have a couple customers in, a week. And then also Chad does computer repair, data recovery, and basic Bitcoin, how do you actually secure a paper wallet and that kind of thing.
Nice.
So.
Cool. So how did you get into Bitcoin?
Well, it was, about 2 years ago or 2.5 years ago. I had a friend that, had some Bitcoin. He said, you should check this out, look into it. And he sold me a few. I bought, I think it was $100 at the time. And back then it was worth about $25, something like that. So
The good old days.
yeah, exactly. And then when it went up to 100, I got into trading and, just kept moving on from there. Started
Cool.
the Bitcoin meetup, and then now helping with this.
That's great. So tell me, what role do you think this physical space where people can collaborate and work on Bitcoin-related projects, what role is this going to play in helping to further what y'all are doing here in Denver?
Well, I mean, we know that a lot of people, especially in my position where I'm a front-end web developer, I traditionally spent a lot of time working at home, and then previously, working out of my parents' basement. So there's a lot of people like that in Denver. There's a lot of developers, a lot of designers and coders in Denver that work out of their houses, their apartments, their parents' basement, and that's great for productivity, but for creativity and bringing in new projects and starting some really amazing stuff, you have to have that collaboration.
Nice.
So our hope is to bring in those people, specifically the ones interested in Bitcoin, digital payments, digital currencies,
Peer-to-peer stuff?
Yeah, exactly. Blockchain 2.0 stuff,
Nice.
decentralized autonomous corporations. Right now we have two different groups of people working on counterparty and countercoin projects, as well as Ethereum projects.
Cool.
So we're really excited to see what's going to come out of those, blockchain 2.0, thoughts.
For
these-
sure. The
these
next
brainstorm
level.
sessions.
Great. So if someone's in the Denver area, how can they check y'all out, and what's the website to learn more about what y'all are doing?
DenverBitcoinCenter.com is the website, and then of course check us out on Facebook. I think it's /Denver Bitcoin Center, and then at Twitter, DenBitcoin, DEN Bitcoin. So.
What about the meetup?
The meetup. Oh yeah, so we host the meetup. There's actually several hosted a month now, but the big one's the second Monday every month. We hosted at Southern Hospitality downtown. They are the first, I think we're going to dinner tonight there, but they were actually the first restaurant in Denver to accept Bitcoin, and they have a CoinKite terminal, and I'm actually really happy. I was really pleased because when they said they accepted Bitcoin, it wasn't like you walked in and nobody knew what you were talking about. They were like, okay, yeah, I have to go get the machine, but at least they knew how to do the process the payment, because there's actually a couple other businesses in Denver that list they accept Bitcoin, but then you go in and it's who knows what, right?
Sure.
It depends
you
on
have
who's
to teach
there.
the cashier
exactly.
how to do it.
So Southern Hospitality has been really amazing about actually accepting Bitcoin all the time.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks for showing us around. I just want to say these Bitcoin centers are popping up all across the country, and they're really providing a wonderful creative outlet for people to get together and collaborate in a safe space. So I think it's very important. If you have a strong Bitcoin community in your area, try to put some money together, pull some money together, put together some some escrow accounts and have people donate and pay rent. I think it'll be well worth the time. People can even buy in as members. People want to have a desk space there, run a business out of the spot, run some miners even. People can chip in and all contribute. And, you could find a nice office space for $1,000 a month. That's pretty easy to come up with if you get yourself a couple dozen Bitcoiners. So something to consider. It's really, really helping to grow the Bitcoin space when you can have a physical place where people can have a presence. And like I said, and like Ben said in the interview, the collaboration is really crucial to growing out this movement and to innovating things. So after we met with Ben, we rushed over to Southern Hospitality. Awesome restaurant in downtown Denver near some of the stadiums there, and man, we really had an enjoyable meal. The kids came down, and it was just a fancy place. The food was awesome. The company was awesome as well. Really enjoyed ourselves in Denver. It was a wonderful finish to our stay there. And like I said, Denver's just really booming and growing. The number of Bitcoin businesses is expanding. The movement is thriving. They opened up this Bitcoin center, and man, this place, Southern Hospitality, I got to say, it's probably one of the finer establishments as far as the food, the service, the atmosphere that we've visited, that we've used Bitcoin at. So Southern Hospitality, I got to give it 2 thumbs up, a whole 8,000 Satoshis. I don't know, that's not very much. Whatever. Without further ado, I got an interview with Sean Owen. He is the owner of Southern Hospitality, and we sat down and chatted with him about Bitcoin and the impact it's having on his business. We're here with Sean Owen. He's the owner of Southern Hospitality, a fine establishment here in Denver, Colorado, and they accept Bitcoin. And we just had a wonderful meal. I had some brisket, smoked brisket, and it met my stamp of approval, being a Texas guy who does a lot of smoking of the brisket. So we're going to chat with him about Bitcoin and how it fits in with his business and why he likes Bitcoin. So Sean, thanks for sitting down with us.
Absolutely.
Really appreciate the meal.
My pleasure to have you guys here.
Very good. Enjoyed it.
Always good to hear a Texan say that the brisket's good.
All right. How did you get into Bitcoin?
So I got into Bitcoin, I actually believe that I probably first heard about it listening to Free Talk Live in maybe 2009. Long time ago, and it was just kind of this imaginary idea that sounded like perfection to me, that maybe someday you'd maybe meet somebody else who maybe would have one of these crazy Bitcoins, and you'd make a friendship or something. And then I think I've downloaded my first Bitcoin wallet in around 2000, the end of 2010, beginning 2011, tried to figure out how to mine, didn't have the guts to get into the mining equipment, tried to find some people to buy it, and of course, like most people, seriously regret that I didn't. Forgot about it, moved around a little bit in the country, kept checking up on it. I think I really got interested when it had gone from 30 cents to $14. That blew my mind. And I was like, man, okay, I gotta go check this out again. Then I lost some more time and kept going back and working the grind. Next thing you know, I checked it and it was $130, and that's when I started getting into it, going to local meetups and spending my first Bitcoins. been a fan of the concept all from the beginning.
Cool. Now, you're a pretty young guy, and this seems to be a pretty serious, successful, fine establishment here. Was this your first venture in restaurants, or have you been involved in the restaurant space for a while?
I've been involved in restaurants since I was a dishwasher when I was 14 years old, so
Nice.
a really long time.
Cool.
Spent most of my time cooking, you name it, stuff like that. Thank you. And have kind of lived in the industry ever since.
When did this establishment open?
So this restaurant opened in 2012, in the beginning of 2000, or the end of 2012, beginning of 2013, and we've been going strong ever since.
And when did you start accepting Bitcoin?
We started accepting Bitcoin in the middle of 2013, actually the beginning of 2013, and it started with meetups. We had a goal of trying to be a trendsetter and getting the ability to work through all the kinks as a merchant and see what it would be like if there were a brick and mortar establishment where you could go rather than just an internet land, and
Nice.
It's been very successful.
So tell me why personally Bitcoin appeals to you so much, and then tell me as a business owner, why do you think it benefits your business?
Two very different, distinct answers there. First and foremost, I'm just a huge fan of sound money, silver specifically, for a long time. And the concept of Bitcoin is literally built around a precious metal. So all the features are there, except for you've got a whole bunch of other features. I used to try to go to businesses and work with silver and as a means of exchanging for goods, and it's kind of difficult.
That's what my wife and I did. We tried to spur a little silver economy, and we found
I failed
getting people to use
miserably.
Bitcoin is so much easier.
Way easier. So I gave up eventually on the silver piece just because I couldn't really get anybody to buy into my vision. And then Bitcoin came along, and it was like, wow, it can actually happen now. So on a personal level, I'm a huge believer in the sound money, having control over cutting out the middleman, cutting out the government, cutting out the banks, and giving control to the end user is the most important feature. And having a limited supply, I think that got me from day one. You know, that somebody couldn't just willy-nilly print whatever they wanted.
Yeah.
As a business owner, if you are a merchant and you're listening to this, or if you have ever thought about accepting payment from anybody, whether it's a tip, whether it's a payment for mowing somebody's lawn, whether it's a gift, and you haven't thought about Bitcoin, you're seriously missing the boat. It is by far a no-brainer, and you should do it immediately. You can save on transaction fees, you can save on easeability, you can cut out all the unnecessary middle people, you can cut out all the risk of identity fraud. There's just so many different ways you can look at it. From a business owner, it's a no-brainer.
Awesome. Now I understand you experimented with the CoinKite terminal, and now you have settled on a BitPay app. What went into that decision?
So we've actually used both of them, and when we have large crowds, we'll break out both. CoinKite does a fantastic job of using a paper receipt, and they've really got a strong suit in that, but I have to give a lot of credit to BitPay. When you have somebody that will give you 0 transactions and make it work on any device, it just works. When you've got a small group, or if you have people that want to come in, you can pull it out on any device. So I wouldn't say that it was necessarily a hands-down win one over the other, but there's definitely some strengths to both. And it seems to be right now that I end up using BitPay, and I see BitPay being a big player in the space long term. And but I'm a big fan of the CoinKite as well.
We noticed oftentimes when we visit these restaurants that accept Bitcoin, it's usually the owner is excited about it, but he doesn't take the extra step to actually train his entire staff. And oftentimes, we don't even have a way to leave tip. I noticed the BitPay app now has tip, which is great.
Yep.
And I also noticed the waitress that was helping us just came down and seamlessly paid with Bitcoin just as easy if we were using a card. Do you take the extra time to train the entire staff, make sure everyone's on the same page, or how does that work?
We did. So in the beginning, it was a little bit of an uphill battle because nobody knew what it was, and it was a little clumsy. But at this point now, there's literally no employee here who doesn't just take it as it is, because they'll be in the middle of a busy shift, and a random guest will walk in almost every week, several times throughout the week, through a lunch shift or dinner shift, and they'll say, "Can I pay in Bitcoin?" And they have to kind of just know how to do it. It becomes second nature at that rate. So I would say there was a little bit of investment as a business owner to put into it, but it's well worth it. As soon as you get through that, then then everybody understands what's going on, so they don't look at it as if it's something outside of their realm. You bring the fruit down on the lower shelf, everybody can have some. And ultimately, I have some goals on getting Bitcoin into the hands of all the employees. I'd like to do something like a hospitality drop or something to that effect where I could teach everybody and open a wallet for them.
Cool.
Several of the bartenders and servers have already got their own wallets and have accepted some tips. So that
cool.
was really pretty cool. But I think there's, what better way could you do, what better way to learn than actually using it?
That's right. Cool. Now, we ate at Pizza Republica last night. Got some pizza. It was really good.
Big fan of those guys.
They had the CoinKite terminal. I had never used one before, so that was pretty cool. But they said that, I asked the manager how many people come in to use Bitcoin, and he said that every month they're seeing 25% more people. Are you guys experiencing those kind of numbers? What's that like?
Yeah, I mean, we have done a tremendous amount. I like to use the example in the Heights. We've seen bigger volume in Bitcoin than we have with Discover Card, so I think that's a really cool feature to note.
Wow.
And it is correlated to price. So as soon as the price starts to rise dramatically, the Bitcoiners like to spend their Bitcoin. But I haven't seen a trend where it's over and over and over building. It is definitely on an asymptote where it's growing. There's no doubt about that.
Excellent. It's kind of like the Bitcoin meetups when the price is high, much more people show
Everybody's
up.
out, yeah.
And then when it's low, only the strong, the true believers survive, I guess.
Yep, exactly.
Cool. Well, before we let you go, why don't you share with our listeners how they can check you out online and where you're located here in Denver?
Okay, so for location, we're right downtown in Denver. They call it the Lodo area of Denver. It's right in the middle of Blake and Market on 17th Street, very close to Coors Field, and right up the street from Union Station, so you can't miss it if you're going to come visit. Extremely easy to get to by public transit. And what was the other question? That's where we're located. Oh, you can find us
online
on www.shddenver.com. That's SH as in Southern Hospitality, Denver.com. Or just Google Southern Hospitality and you can't miss us.
I should have asked you earlier, just tell us briefly about the unique style of food that y'all have here.
So it's a Southern style food. We try to keep it very original with Memphis style ribs. We do a lot of dry rub product. Everything is slow smoked. We've got a lot of different favorites from, some spins on it like fried chicken and waffles, which everybody loves. That's our biggest selling item, to some fantastic brisket, jambalaya, items like that. But we really go after traditional Southern, and we try to do it the best way possible.
Cool. Well, I hope some of our listeners will come out here and enjoy some of the fine food. We sure enjoyed it, and spend some Bitcoin with you. So there you have it, folks. That was our update for Colorado. Like I said, it's up and coming when it comes to Bitcoin, so kudos to you guys out there in the Colorado area. If you're ever passing through, heading from east to west or west to east, be sure you stop through Denver, stop at some of the cool places that we've visited. You'll find links to them in the section there. And I want to give a quick shout out to some of our sponsors, our newest sponsors, WatchMyBit.com. They're in open beta mode, so they need some people to go test out what's going on. There may be a little quirk still, but they're working it out to soon have a full public launch. So get out there early on, WatchMyBit.com. It's the first micropayment video service, much like YouTube, except no advertisements. And to watch a video, you simply scan the QR code, send a little bit of Bitcoin, and the video pops up automatically. So it's great for people that want to get some no advertisement video watching and people that want to support these artists. And it's also good for the artists and video producers because you'll have a way to monetize your content. That's watchmybit.com. They're in open beta. Go help them out. Wonderful service, wonderful people behind that new project. And then I want to give a shout out to Broker, BRAWKER.com, Broker.com. This is a service where you can pretty much buy anything with Bitcoin. You put out what you need, you put the link to it online, the exact price, and people bid on your product or online good, and you pay them Bitcoin. So this is beneficial because now you can get just about anything you can purchase online. Our stuff can be mailed to you with Bitcoin, and also for people looking to buy Bitcoin, you can acquire Bitcoin and still have your privacy protected, unlike using Coinbase or some of these other Bitcoin acquisition services. We bought a gift card on there, and it was mailed to us on the spot, no problems whatsoever. Somebody bid on it way quick. In the coming days, we're going to purchase something else, and I'm going to do a podcast where I go ahead and step you through it as I'm ordering it. So look out for that. That's Broker.com, BRAWKER.com. This is a wonderful service that's bridging the gap for many people so you can adopt more of a Bitcoin lifestyle. Let's think about the magic word. What should we have for our magic word? I know some people appreciated the last one, the frozen one. Some people did not. So let's go ahead and give you an easy one. How about this? The magic word for today is my lovely wife Catherine's middle name. I'll go ahead and give it to you. You won't have to go search for it, although you probably could find it. It's Elizabeth. Elizabeth. The magic word for today's podcast is Elizabeth. Elizabeth. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I want to remind you to follow us on Twitter, at SovBTC, at the Bitmom. Follow us on our live blog where you can see awesome pictures from along the way, including all the wonderful snowstorms and the great people we hung out with in Colorado. That is uncoinventional.com, and click on the live blog link. Subscribe to the podcast feed, soundcloud.com/sovereignbtc. And again, check out the pictures on the live blog. I'll have pictures from the Bitcoin Center and all that good stuff posted up there as well. So I'm going to sign out. Remind you, peace, love, Bitcoin, freedom, justice, all sorts of good stuff. Anything you can imagine that makes you feel good. Think it, do it, live it, be it. Peace. I'm out.